I've just got a couple more things in relation to my lessons learned. I think it's important to always, on every project, I try to do a lessons learned. So, like I said, I've been a product owner for a long time as well. And one of the key things that I love about product ownership is retrospectives. Despite product owners not meant to attend retrospectives, I have run them as a Scrum Master. And I think lesson learned are an opportunity to look at things that you can improve as a team. I think it's really important in any project to not play with the blame game and not point fingers. So that's why these are so important, because it's not looking at who made a mistake and what mistake happened. It's looking at how do we do things differently as a team, or as two organizations working together, or as a person or an individual, to see how we can improve in the future.
Yeah.
So the lessons I've learned are roles and responsibilities, establishing really clear roles and responsibilities during project initiation. I think as a project manager, this can be a really tough conversation, especially with organizations that don't like project management. I have walked into an organization that hated project managers, hated project management, didn't want to participate or know about it in any shape, way, or form. And so trying to, I guess, provide the context around these roles and responsibilities and why they were important. I think it was providing that information and getting those clear roles in place. And I think once they understood what role they would have to play in the project and how that would empower them to make decisions for their business and their organization, it really shifts that mindset, like I said, from this is being done to us to this is being done with us. And as a business person, as the project sponsor, I'm actually in control of this. I get the opportunity to decide what gets done within this budget ultimately, and I get to decide if a timeline needs to go out, or if I get to decide if things need to be pulled out of scope. So it's really helping them stay informed and giving them that ultimate decision-making power, rather than stripping it off of them and saying, well, the project manager's just going to work it all out. A scope statement is another thing that I've learned is really, really important, and making sure the project goals, scope, and deliverable are clear to everyone who needs to sign off. I have found historically, in both as a product owner and as a project manager, and even as a business analyst, that there is always this one underlying problem that may happen 1% of the time, but it really annoys everybody. And someone will try and sneak it into the scope of the project just because they've had it happen to them today and it's really irritated them. And that scope statement really helps empower the project manager to say, look, I appreciate that's a great idea. It's not within the scope of our project right now, but I'm going to put it on this parking lot and I'll raise it with the steering committee and the project sponsor to let them know that this is a concern, and then we can work out where we go from there. It helps guide that conversation, and it makes sure that everyone's on the same page. So you won't have a stakeholder assuming something was going to be done and it's not done. Everyone's clear on the vision. Everyone's clear on the benefits they're going to get out of it. And I think it makes it so that everyone's swimming in the same direction, rather than one person having one view and another person having another view. So I can't emphasize enough how important that document is. I think setting a delivery method is really important. I know I've used Agile versus Waterfall. Agile is a great methodology, and it has some really great principles behind it. And if you're using Scrum, it's incredibly powerful for a team. But I do think it's important for an organization to decide how they're going to run the project, so everyone's really clear on what they'll be doing and how the project's going to work, so that you may have that conversation up front to say, well, we're actually going to iteratively release your programs out for you to test, and then we can learn from them. And it sets that expectation that you will have things coming out at different points in time, and then people don't expect to have everything at the same time, and they don't expect for it to be perfect straight off. That this is a learning opportunity for us to get better as we go along. Project plan, making sure everyone's really comfortable with what's going to be done and when it's going to be done. And it stops a lot of the confusion about, oh, I thought I was going to get this within 3 months. I was going to have the whole system go live in 3 months. I have had that happen to me, and I wanted it in 3 months. Why don't I have it in 3 months? And this project plan helps the why. So this is why it's going to take this long, and this is why I need you to provide resources to help us be successful. It really helps inform that conversation. Opportunities. This is a really good call out. You can put this on your scope statement. It's not always done in IT, but not looking at the now, but what the business might need in the future. I find a lot of organizations, when you first go in there, are just like, oh, just replace what we've got. It works. We know it. That's the easiest way of doing this. But it doesn't future-proof you. And so it's really looking at, yes, we know what you might need now from like a funding report perspective, but where as an organization do you want to head? And let's make sure we build some flexibility in there and maybe look at building out some of those data fields like a standard data set to help you get there in the future. It's also opportunities could be looking at, you may call out a particular risk on a project and you say, well, there's an opportunity here for you to fix that. You may not want to do it right now, but let's put that on that parking lot again for something for you to consider later on. Potential risk issues or dependency. I do love a RAID register, they call it. It's a really powerful tool and it goes for the lifetime of the project, and it's always discussed. I always discuss it in a steering committee, especially the high risk, and it will help the project sponsor and all the stakeholders understand what risks and issues may be coming up on the project. So something that potentially will occur is a risk. Something that has occurred would be documented as an issue. You can then make a decision as to if it's going to be mitigated, or the project sponsor may say, this has been an issue within our organisation for the last 6 years. I'm really happy for that just to continue because we know it's there, we can fix it later, and that's fine. Any dependencies are important to document as well. So you may have a dependency on a funding body. They may be changing their reports, and you may say to the project sponsor, I have a dependency on this government organisation to provide us with the new requirements so we can build out this funding report. And the project sponsor may make the call of, well, they're not going to have it within the timeline of the project, so let's not build that report out now. We'll build it out after the project. So they're the kind of conversations that you can have when you have really clearly documented your risk, issues, and dependencies. No blame. I don't feel that it's constructive in any project to point fingers at people when they make a mistake or something goes wrong. I feel it builds a really negative cycle, and that you actually lose momentum on a project. So I work really hard with an internal project team to do not point the finger at people, focus on what went wrong, what we can all do differently moving forward, and how we fix the problem in that moment. Because things are always going to go wrong on a project. You're normally moving at great speed, and you're normally moving with a great group of people and with a high amount of scope. So something is always going to go wrong, and I don't feel that it's beneficial to anyone's mental health or the project's mental health as a group to start going, well, Jack, you made that mistake. You shouldn't have made that mistake. Next time you need to do better, because it's not good for that person. And like I said, you will lose momentum on that project. I think when I started out as a BA, I started in finance. There was a really heavy emphasis on the blame game. I've had it done to me, and it wasn't constructive. It did slow everything down. And so I've really tried to adapt this lessons learned / having a retro, because I think it's a far better way for people to move forward. And they're really some of the key lessons I've learned throughout both being a product owner, a BA, and also a project manager, Mandy.